markets are closed, but the business stories are just heating up. Hello, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Catch up with us on Business Brief. Asian shares mostly falling Thursday after recent gains fueled by hopes for lower U.S. interest rates. Australia's ASX is currently in the green, while South Korea's Kospi is flat with an upward bias and the rest are in the red. In the currency markets, the U.S. dollar depreciates against the Japanese yen, while the South Korean won appreciates against the greenback. The U.S. dollar also flat against the Hong Kong dollar, the Singapore dollar, and the Thai baht. Same with the Australian dollar, which is also flat against the greenback. In commodities, gold prices fell by nearly 0.1%, while oil prices are mixed. In the crypto space, Bitcoin also fell by almost 0.1%, while Ethereum adds 0.2%. Bitcoin hit a record high on Thursday amid increasing expectations for the U.S. Federal Reserve to ease monetary policy. Bitcoin went up to as high as $124,000 in early Asia trading. Efforts by the Trump administration to ease investment in crypto assets are also boosting Bitcoin. President Trump has called himself the cryptocurrency president. His family also ventured into the cryptocurrency sector. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas orders all e-wallet providers to disconnect their services from online gambling platforms within 48 hours. BSP Deputy Governor Memento Tangonan announced this during a hearing by the Senate Committee on Games and Amusement. Tangonan said this is part of the central bank's commitment to protecting consumers and ensuring financial systems are not exploited for unregulated gambling activities. There have been increasing calls for a total ban or strict regulation of online gambling in the country, citing addiction and financial ruin of many Filipinos. Illegal online cockfighting or E-sabong continues to thrive on unregulated gambling platforms despite a nationwide ban. A new study by social cultural research firm The Fourth Wall found that E-sabong events are still being promoted through Facebook groups and private messages. Researchers warn these unregulated sites operate outside PAGCOR's jurisdiction, leaving players vulnerable to scams, heavy losses, and underage gambling. President Marcos suspended the activity in December 2022 under Executive Order Number 9. The findings highlight the challenge of enforcing online gambling laws and the growing need for stronger digital regulation to protect consumers. Malacanang calls on Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong to submit his information on anomalous flood control projects to President Bongbong Marcos. Magalong previously said he is willing to act as a resource person in Congress if it will probe the flood control project mess. But Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said it would be better if Magalong would directly present what he knows to the president. The mayor said he is willing to comply.
Siguro next week. Tatapusin lang namin next week. We'll get in touch with the Office of the President kung kailan siya available. At immediately, kung ano yung date na sinet niya, we're going to visit him.
Now is the time to invest in the bond market. On Bilyonaryo News Channel's Business 360, Sandra Araullo, Chief Investment Officer at Atram Trust Corporation, said this as the Bangko Sentral adopts a dovish monetary policy.
It is definitely, especially longer dated bonds, longer tenured bonds, the 10 to 20 year. The Treasury has just issued a jumbo RTB, and longer tenors are expected to come to the front, and I would lock in those high interest rates. Keep a little bit of for opportunistic refinancing rates. I mean, there will always be something that might push markets a bit higher, but we don't think it's going to be, yields might go a little higher, but we don't expect that to be the general trajectory. So it's really good to lock in those high yields today and kind of have a smoother investment journey for in that space, compared to equities.
She adds the U.S. tariff and regional conflicts are weighing on the local equity market. The PSEI remains 30% below its January 2018 peak of 90.41.
In the eyes, in the global stage, we are an emerging market, and a lot of the
risk appetite.
Yes, so
shifting.
it has to. Investors want to be
Earnings
compensated more
predictability,
for the risk that they will take in an emerging market, and so the capital or foreign flows have been, instead of going into our market, it's been moving out. So supply demand tends to come into play there, and I think internally there has been a sentiment is not good as well. No IPO activity, no excitement at all.
It's been nil IPO activity on that. No action on that front.
No action.
We're taking a short break. More business stories are up next. You're watching Business Brief. You're back on Business Brief. It's not too late. The Philippine government continues to negotiate with the U.S. in finding a way to reduce the impact of President Trump's tariffs, particularly in the semiconductor industry. Sujin Kim joins us for the details. Go ahead, Sujin.
Yes, my Philippine ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, remarks of a double-edged trade battle, negotiating concessions under the new 19% Trump tariffs while confronting the separate, far more damaging threat of a 100% global levy on semiconductor exports.
To be honest about it, we didn't expect this thing to be imposed this way. We expected something that would probably be a little more within the range that we felt was reasonable, but 100% is pretty. And a lot of companies, not only here in the Philippines, but all over the Asia-Pacific region, will be very much affected by that.
Romualdez stressed that the semiconductor duty aimed at pushing manufacturing back to the U.S. would hit hard across the Asia-Pacific and could jeopardize billion-dollar investments like Texas Instruments' facility in the Philippines.
Yeah, it's a global tariff that they're imposing, but I think there's a lot of semiconductor companies, especially the Semiconductor Association, that's quite powerful in Washington, D.C. They're lobbying that this tariff not be imposed.
He said Washington officials have expressed sympathy, but Manila is under pressure to produce a win-win proposal that could secure exemptions.
Once it's been announced by the White House, obviously it's final, but what is important is the details of the tariff, and that's what we're working on right now. We're working on the details on what are the things that we'll be able to export exempted from the 19%. But these are still on the negotiating stage right now.
And also
the Philippines is pushing for select U.S.-bound exports to be spared from the 19% rate, particularly strategic manufacturing, even as it seeks to leverage its status as a treaty ally and a strategic necessity in the Indo-Pacific to negotiate relief on semiconductors. Romualdez noted signals from the U.S. Treasury that some duties could ease once trade balances improve, but until then, Manila is also exploring alternative markets in ASEAN, India, Europe, and beyond to offset losses. These high-stakes talks unfolded as nearly 60 U.S. firms, mostly Fortune 500 companies in technology, defense, and artificial intelligence, as well as infrastructure, joined the largest ever U.S.-ASEAN business mission to the Philippines, underscoring American confidence in the country's growth story and reform momentum. And those are latest updates from Pasay City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you for that report, Sujin Kim. Vietnam is urging the Philippines to rethink its plan to suspend rice imports for 2 months warning it could rattle regional trade and impact both countries' farmers. The import halt set for September 1st is meant to protect local producers after prices slump during harvest. The Philippines is Vietnam's top rice customer, buying 2.4 million metric tons this year, 44% of Vietnam's total exports. With Philippine output surging 13.9% in the second quarter, Manila says the move is well-timed to give local farmers a fair shot, even if it risks straining one of ASEAN's most crucial food supply links. The decision could reverberate beyond farm gates, affecting regional food security, inflation, and trade balance at a time when global grain markets are already under pressure. Signature Series by SM Residences, the premium primary residential brand of SM Prime Holdings, is finalizing a strategic partnership for a landmark development in Makati City. In a disclosure, the company said the project will rise in one of the most desirable luxury residential areas in the Philippines, located in an upscale enclave. Executive Vice President and Signature Series Group Head Jose Juan Hugo noted that the premium primary residential segment has not yet been fully tapped in the Philippines. He said the brand aims to make a new mark in this space, leveraging SM's strong organization, resources, and commitment. Local fast food giant Jollibee Foods Corporation posted an attributable net income of 5.62 billion pesos in the first half of the year. In its financial statement, the company said this was slightly lower than the 5.66 billion earned in the same period last year. Jollibee Group Chief Executive Officer Ernesto Tanmantiong said the company delivered strong second quarter results, with revenue and profit growth accelerating from the first quarter. He adds this reflects continued business momentum and improved operational execution. We're taking another breather, a look at how Philippine stocks did today. Coming up next, you're watching Business Brief. An industrial park in Indonesia's West Java province sees an influx of Chinese companies setting up shop there. Many believe they are trying to protect themselves from U.S. President Trump's tariffs at more than 30%. The 19% U.S. tariff rate for goods from Indonesia is the same as for Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand.
This second wave of Chinese companies have been coming since October 2024. There were so many of them. If we look at the graph, there's an incline of that wave in 2024. Now, during this situation we call Trump 2.0, that graph is shooting upwards.
Over in South America, Brazil is rolling out a multi-billion-dollar aid package to help companies hit by President Trump's tariff hikes. The plan includes a $5.55 billion credit line for exporters and government purchases of goods that can't find new markets. Trump raised duties on several Brazilian products from 10 to 50% earlier this month. While some sectors were spared, major exports like coffee, beef, and textiles are expected to take a hit. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva says Brazil will not retaliate for now, focusing first on protecting industries and jobs.
We will continue to insist on negotiation because we like to negotiate. We are not announcing reciprocity measures. Look at how cooperative negotiators we are. So we don't want, at first, to do anything that would justify worsening our relationship.
Economists warn the tariffs could slow Brazil's export growth and add to uncertainty in global trade at a time when supply chains are still fragile. Air Canada is canceling flights beginning Thursday. This is in anticipation of a strike by 10,000 flight attendants on Saturday. The flight attendants union served a 72-hour strike notice as wage negotiations stalled. They're seeking compensation for hours worked, including for tasks such as boarding passengers and waiting in the airport. Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge carry about 130,000 passengers daily. A strike would hit the country's tourism sector during the height of summer travel. Philippine shares snap its two-day winning streak as it returns into negative territory. The PSE index ended lower by 0.5% to close at 62.91, finishing the day as the fifth worst performer in Asia. The sectoral indices ended mixed, with services falling the most at over 2%. Industrials rise the most at nearly 0.4%. Decliners outpaced advancers 106 to 84. Total value turnover reached 8.4 billion pesos. Today's most active stocks ended mixed, with Jollibee Foods rising the most at more than 2%. DigiPlus fell the most at nearly 20%. Meanwhile, the foreign exchange market, the peso is currently trading at 56.72 against the greenback, unchanged from the previous close of 56.72. That's a wrap for today's Business Brief. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Join us again tomorrow as we bring you the stories that help you plan your next big, bold moves in business, only here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel. See you then.